With news on Vince McMahon's new role in WWE and more, this is Wrestling Hub. My name is John and you're watching the Wrestling Report. Before we get into the rest of the video, make sure you subscribe to Wrestling Hub and turn on all notifications to stay up to date with everything in the world of pro wrestling. Also, don't forget to follow us on Instagram at Wrestling Hub Official and follow us on Twitter at Wrestling_Hub. At Raw last night, a fan had a sign supporting Dana Brooke, which was taken away, as the fan said on Twitter. "Well, I'm at Raw and my Give Dana Brooke a Chance sign just got confiscated." Dana responded writing, "I am so sorry. This is so wrong and will be addressed." With Vince McMahon back in charge, it seems he is working on creative for WWE once again, as it was said that Vince McMahon was personally and heavily involved with last night's episode of Monday Night Raw. PWInsider.com has confirmed with multiple sources. PW Insider is told that about 15 to 20 minutes before Raw went live on the air, a number of late rewrites for the episode were ordered, described as not feeling like the type of changes talents and staff had come to expect under Paul Levesque. Changes for the episode continued as the show well into being on the air, and we are told they came directly from McMahon, who had his own office at Raw, just as he did before his retirement in the summer of 2022. While McMahon stated he would not be in the weeds of creative on CNBC yesterday, we were told by multiple sources who were at Raw that there was no doubt that Vince was firmly back in charge following the Endeavor acquisition of the company. When it comes to the internal reaction to Vince McMahon's creative comeback, PW Insider additionally said, among some talents we spoke with, there was a huge negative shift in morale as they realized things were going to go back to exactly where they were before Paul Levesque was placed in control as Chief Content Officer. One source said, the place felt nuked, but others didn't go that far. The feeling was that going forward, the likelihood was that McMahon would be overseeing everything again, leaving the creative once again to his whims and sensibilities, although whether that actually plays out remains to be seen. A big part of that feeling of resignation was that Levesque is genuinely liked and trusted by the talents, especially since so many came through the WWE NXT system, and for some of them, that feeling of security many had felt in the run from SummerSlam to WrestleMania was no longer a given, and would be far departure from how some we spoke to felt tonight. Speaking about what this return to control by Vince McMahon spells for Triple H, who is in charge of creative, Dave Meltzer said on Wrestling Observer Radio, "It's what it was. It will be what it was before. If people think it's going to be bad, then it's going to be bad. But that's just what way that it is. The TV show was changed when Vince got there, and it was changing as the show was going on, and that was tonight. And that will be what it is going forward." With Cody Rhodes' last scene getting taken out by Brock Lesnar on Raw, Dave Meltzer mentioned what Vince McMahon's return to power means for the American Nightmare, saying on Wrestling Observer Radio, "Another thing is that Vince is the one who personally recruited Cody Rhodes, not Triple H. Not that Triple H didn't use him well, he used him great, but Vince was the one who flew to Cody with Bruce Pritchard, and Cody at the time wasn't looking to go. Bruce Pritchard called and asked, 'Are you interested?' And Cody said, 'I might as well hear them out. I'm a free agent.' Then Vince flew down to see him, and once Vince flies down to see you, you know, he's got that aura, and he's convincing. Cody still had to go back and forth and everything, but it was Vince who largely was the one who got this deal done. So Cody's not some guy that Vince hates, he's a guy that Vince brought in." Talking about what Vince McMahon's return to power could mean for Kenny Omega potentially signing with WWE, it was noted on Wrestling Observer Radio, for Kenny Omega and people like that, you know, when it comes time for that decision, unless he's making the decision to stay, if he makes that decision to leave, that final decision isn't coming for months anyway. So you know, yeah, of course, it's gonna have an effect. If he looks and sees that he thinks that he won't be happy, then he'll make money either way. So it doesn't matter. It's just what his personal goals are. And I know his personal goals is to have the most fun possible. Touching on what all of this could mean for WWE's cutthroat tactics against AEW, Meltzer pointed out that it's Vince. Vince has an MO. It's going to be the same, if not worse. You know what? I think that because of what happened to NXT and losing every week and getting run off Wednesdays, I think it was more personal to Triple H to get back at Tony Khan, because I think that things actually, I remember Tony Khan's comments on this, and I kind of see things the same way, is that when Vince was out of power, you kind of think that the big bad Vince is gone, and now we're going to have reasonable people there. Maybe, they'll work together, whatever. It won't be more cutthroat without Vince, so it ain't going to be any worse in that sense. But yeah, Vince is the master of that kind of business, and Triple H has a personal issue with them. It ain't going to get better. With the grizzled young vets recently requesting their WWE releases, it seems it may not be granted. As the Wrestling Observer said, that's up in the air now. They were telling people that they got the release. I actually heard from someone this morning in WWE and it was, yeah, they're gone. And then later in the day, it was like, I don't think they got the release. They told people they did, but I got the impression that it's not necessarily the case as far as getting the release. So we'll have to wait and see for the next couple of days how this all plays out. But I don't think officially. They may have, but it was kind of indicated to me that maybe it wasn't as official as they thought and everyone down there thought. Despite the purchase of WWE by Endeavor, it looks like the mass layoffs are still Vince McMahon's decision, as the Observer said, to be determined. I can't say for sure. It really depends on the mentality of creative, and that's going to be Vince again. Rather than, I don't see Ari Emanuel saying, hey, Vince, we've got too many guys in developmental. He's going to go, tell me about this developmental. And it's going to be whether Vince says it. If Vince feels that this is the way to go, and we sign 200 guys to get 10 stars out of it, then that's the way they're going to go. If Vince goes, we've got too many guys here, it's not a good idea, then he could do that and a bunch of people in developmental would be let go. That would have been the way before Vince McMahon left, so that'll be a Vince McMahon decision. That's certainly not up to anyone else. With Endeavor's buyout of WWE, it seems a law firm will be investigating, as it was said in a press release. Ademi LLP investigates whether World Wrestling Entertainment Inc. has obtained a fair price in its transaction with Endeavor. Ademi LLP is investigating WWE for possible breaches of fiduciary duty and other violations of law in its transaction with Endeavor. Ademi LLP alleges WWE's financial outlook and prospects are excellent, and yet the transaction values WWE shares at only approximately $106 per share before any post-closing dividend, with Endeavor holding a 51% controlling interest in the new company and existing WWE shareholders holding a 49% interest in the new company. The transaction agreement unreasonably limits competing bids for WWE by imposing a significant penalty if WWE accepts a superior bid. WWE insiders will receive substantial benefits as part of change of control arrangements. We are investigating the conduct of WWE's board of directors and whether they are fulfilling their fiduciary duties to all shareholders and obtaining a fair and reasonable price for WWE. If you own WWE common stock and wish to obtain additional information, please contact Gary Ademi either at gademi@ademilllaw.com or toll free 866-264-3995 or www.ademilllaw.com/case/world-wrestling-entertainment-inc. We specialize in shareholder litigation involving buyouts, mergers, and individual shareholder rights throughout the country. For more information, please feel free to call us. Attorney advertising, prior results do not guarantee similar outcomes. With him previously hospitalized and put in the ICU, unfortunately, Bushwhacker Butch has passed away, as Bushwhacker Luke announced on Facebook. Late last night, I lost my friend, brother, and tag team partner of over 50 years with the passing of Bob Butch Miller. My heart goes out to his wife, Helen, his lovely daughters, Sharon and Kirsten, and all of his grandchildren. From the early 1970s, when we were young mates wrestling for John Da Silva in New Zealand, my first impression of Bob, the Chest Miller, as he was called in those days, was that he was a first-class redneck. And what bloody redneck he was, but he was also an all-around good guy and a great friend. By the time we reached our mid-20s, we found ourselves traveling the world together from New Zealand to Australia to Malaysia, Singapore and Japan before invading the North American territories in Canada and the United States as the Sheep Herders. In 1988, we were in our 40s and still at the top of our game when we got a call from the offices in Connecticut with an offer to join the largest and fastest growing wrestling promotion in the world, the WWF/E. The Bushwhackers were born. As the Bushwhackers, we appeared in the largest venues in the world, in front of the biggest crowds professional wrestling had ever seen, and we were eventually honored by our fans and peers with our inclusion in the WWE Hall of Fame in 2015 and the Professional Wrestling Hall of Fame in 2020. We did it all, we saw it all, and we accomplished it all together. This past weekend in Los Angeles, Bob flew in from New Zealand to join me for WrestleMania weekend and the related festivities, neither of us knowing it would be our last days together and his last days of life. If you were to read the story of my life, it would say that I am only child, but it would be wrong. In life, I had a brother and his name was Bob Miller. I love you, Bob. Until I see you again, woo-ah, yeah. And this was your Pro Wrestling News Update. I hope you're all having a great day. Thank you so much for watching, and I'll see y'all later.